What's up guys, that guy with the pencil here, and let's discuss a battle, quite the battle. A battle of two heirs to a legacy that neither of them asked for. Meruem from Hunter x Hunter versus Gilthunder from Seven Deadly Sins. In one of my versus battles, I already explained that the Sins quite easily smack around Meruem. It was just not enough for one of them, not to talk of all of them at once. However, let's take a weaker character from Seven Deadly Sins and throw them against the Chimera Ant King. A knight versus the King of Ants, and this fight is a lot more interesting. To explain Meruem, he's a literal monster. The Chimera Ant King, even his base state, is extremely powerful, scaling massively above every other being in the series of Hunter x Hunter up to that point in terms of raw power and speed. Thus, he upscales massively from any Chimera Ant officers and even his own Royal Guard. Even Chimera Ant officers are able to handle multi-city block level attacks without getting fully vaporized. Then, they are drastically inferior to Royal Guards, who are drastically inferior to Meruem himself, since he is so drastically above even high-level hunters like Basco and Killua, Morel, and Knuckle, and all his inferiors within the Chimera Ants. I'd say pre-rose Meruem is around town level. He also got annihilated by a small nuke, so that makes this consistent. Now, where we get interesting is post-rose Meruem, as he is a plausible threat, shooting up to small city level with a rage cannon which he inherited from Yuppie. However, that makes him freshly transformed and just discovering he could do it. It was a test, not a testament to his true power, so we're going to give Meruem city level. Now, for his speed, it's an interesting story. Meruem is fast, beyond any ant within his group. Pito, the fastest of his guard, has a range of speed from Mach 83 to 263, and they are inferior to the king. Pito was casual when performing this feat and used twice the power it did when hunting Kite in comparison to when it was protecting the king, so that puts his top speed around 526 times the speed of sound. Giving Meruem the benefit of the doubt, let's say he's twice as fast in base. This makes base Meruem 1054 times the speed of sound. Really good, and post-rose makes him only more impressive. However, to the degree that it is for his speed is unknown. Meruem is said to fly 3 times faster than Shirapoof. Shirapoof is slower than Pito, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's make him equal to Pito's hypothetical top speed and say Meruem is able to move 3 times faster than that. So that makes Meruem at his post-rose peak around 1578 times the speed of sound. Tie that speed and strength in with Meruem's abilities and you have a pretty relevant threat. Base Meruem has masterful control of his body, a great understanding of combat, his surroundings, and a masterful ability to adapt and read his opponent. Thanks to all of his playing in multiple strategy games, he ended up developing a sort of subconscious ability to detect his opponent's natural biases and tendencies within the game, and that developed and evolved even into combat. He can access multiple Nen techniques such as Ren, which allows him to just release his aura, and N, the ability to perfectly read and absorb information of an environment and an opponent. Upon his resurrection in the post-rose Meruem, he can even use Yuppie's abilities like Rage Cannon, applies to concentrated Nen, and Metamorphosis, allowing him to spawn different body parts such as wings. Meruem is a beast of no comparison within Hunter x Hunter, being a massively hypersonic city-level threat, but his opponent is far from a slouch. Now, Gilthunder from Seven Deadly Sins, the diamond-ranked Holy Knight, even at the beginning of this series, is shockingly strong. Pun completely intended. For his raw power, he has quite the range. There are some calcs that put his ability to create thunderstorms at city level, there are some calcs that put it at mountain level. Scaling-wise, he isn't the strongest, even at the beginning of the series, but he's still a very relevant threat. He's able to fight with, take hits from, and damage beginning of series Meliodas, a mountain level threat not with himself, while Gilthunder was suppressing himself to not truly harm Meliodas too much. He also is able to damage Diane, a large mountain level threat. Top this off with the ability to dominate Demon Blood Amp Hendrickson when finally going serious, to the point where it forced Hendrickson to evolve into a further demon empowered state, and he's really good. All this in conjunction makes Gilthunder pretty solidly mountain level with some proper scaling, but if you want to lowball him, city level is about as low as you can go. And that's just beginning of series, because if you want to go into boast training Gilthunder, who scales directly to House of Gila, he would be even stronger, as his comrades were able to tear through and destroy Albions and Copper Demons, the former being stronger than all beginning of series Sin, pre-Escanor in their bases, and Gilthunder should be able to perform these similar feats, post his training. Thus, Gilthunder is actually pretty strong. For his speed, he's the lightning timer of the verse, as in he literally summons lightning from the clouds to the ground to attack, and he's able to fight with and even outpace people who are able to react to said lightning. Surprised beginning of series Meliodas is able to do it, Gilthunder is able to match his speed and even outpace him at times. Then, a serious Gilthunder just massively outpaces Demon Blood Amp Hendrickson, who is also comparable to Gilthunder and Meliodas in speed. The most basic calc puts Meliodas' reaction feat at around 2,608 times the speed of sound, but considering Meliodas was suppressed throughout the entire battle and Gilthunder was suppressed as well, it's very likely they are actually even faster than this. However, since we don't have a clear statement about how much they're holding back like we do with Pito, I cannot totally confirm how much faster, so we'll lock pre-training Gilthunder at 2,608 times the speed of sound. Post-training Gilthunder, despite his power level, should be over twice as fast if he's scaling to Hauser and Gila, who couldn't even do anything to Great Demon Hendrickson at first, but are now able to decimate Copper Demons and Albions, who are relative, if not directly equal to Great Demon Hendrickson. That leaves us with 5,216 times the speed of sound for post-training. This is ignoring the basis that Gilthunder's speed is from a time when he's suppressed against Meliodas, but we'll leave it at that. For his techniques, Gilthunder's native ability is Thunderbolt. This is just as it sounds, allowing him to create and manipulate storms to create lightning, and he can just spawn electricity around himself as a shield to amp his speed and power while harming his opponent. His name techniques come down to Purge of the Thunder Emperor, where he calls down a gigantic bolt of lightning after a sequence of sword swings. Then he has Pursuit of the Lightning Beast, which he can use to call down 3 separate lightning bolts in the shape of rabid beasts that will attack one after another, and Gilthunder can still attack after summoning them. By simply pointing his fingers or his blade, Gilthunder can call down the Iron Hammer of the Thunder Emperor, which is another titanic bolt of lightning, but is more optimal mid-combat. Then he has Thunderclap Strike, where he fires lightning and then charges through it to pierce his opponent. And then, for a mix of defense and offense, he has Heavy Armor of the Thunder Emperor, which coats his entire body and covers all his blind spots with electricity. If he gets close enough, he can use Embrace of the Thunder God to trap and electrocute his enemies. And finally, there is Flash Movement of the Thunder God, which simply adds Gilthunder's name's speed. And to top it all off, he can restrain you with electricity chains. All this in combination with combat training from a man with 3,000 years experience, good combat feats against that same man and his peers and equals, and Gilthunder is pretty set as a mountain level massively hypersonic threat. So, how does this matchup look? Not good for Meruem. As smart and rather dangerous as he is, he's not a match for Gilthunder in any way, shape, or form. Even while giving post-Rose Meruem the full benefit of the doubt power-wise, he's still inferior to a regularly scaled Gilthunder and around a match for low-ball Gilthunder in power. However, the big issue here is speed, because base Meruem is just absolutely outclassed by Gilthunder in every way, shape, and form speed-wise. Even post-Rose does not truly compare, being around 3/4 of Gilthunder's speed. So by slapping these two against one another, is the trouble of Gilthunder being way stronger, way faster, and having many more techniques to execute Meruem, with Meruem basically having nothing to take care of Gilthunder. Even if Meruem gets his hands on Gilthunder, Gilthunder can just straight up release lightning from his body. And since Gilthunder is so much stronger, this won't be like Meruem vs Netero, where Meruem gets blasted with a bunch of weak hits that don't do much in the end. This Meruem is not only getting outsped, but every single hit, he's losing a limb, taking ludicrous damage, dying. Each hit by Gilthunder against Meruem is almost fatal. If not fatal, just in general, while each hit Gilthunder takes from Meruem is not that much, maybe a scratch at best. Even post-Rose, Gilthunder is dodging the Rage Cannon and slapping Meruem in the face with the Lightning Bolt. Meruem's adaptation is good, but he usually relies on time to grow. Gilthunder won't give him time to grow. Meruem's main issues are the fact that he's weaker and slower, so what would happen if we equal them up? Yes, I'm talking about an equalized fight, and as you may assume, this fight gets way more interesting. Mainly because now, Meruem will have time to adapt. Instead of a hit costing him a limb or his torso or his life, a hit from a tackle from Gilthunder may only do some damage. He's still in a bit of trouble if he loses an arm from Gilthunder's sword, but Meruem has insane pain tolerance and could keep fighting. The main issue comes in for base Meruem is that Gilthunder basically is just base Meruem with a sword and numerous range attacks and the ability to punish Meruem for every single time he lands a hit. Gilthunder, to make it for the fact that Meruem is now a match for him, just like he did against Meliodas, will be constantly throwing out lightning attacks, Thunder Beasts, Iron Hammers, Thunder Strike Claps, everything he could have, and base Meruem has no answer to a being that will be cloaked in lightning the entire time and constantly hitting with electricity. I can never emphasize enough that Meruem never fought a true equal. He's never dealt with someone like Gilthunder before, who is not just like Netero, who except for his construct is very vulnerable to Meruem. Gilthunder would be able to take a lunge from Meruem, he'd be able to take a punch, and then punish Meruem for even hitting him because he'll be cloaked in lightning. And if Meruem ever gets trapped in lightning, whether it be the Embrace of the Thunder God or just basic lightning chains, he's in range to get decapitated. I would still give Gilthunder the edge in the equalized battle versus pre-Rose Meruem. I just don't think Meruem has the options to deal with Gilthunder's constant assaults that don't tire him out, and he can send out with the point of a sword and proceed to chase, or I don't think Meruem will just have time to adapt to it. Meliodas had full counter, which negated a lot of Gilthunder's moveset. Meruem doesn't have an option like that. Even if he starts to read Gilthunder's attacks, he has no way to deal damage to Gilthunder without getting hurt himself, without getting trapped and electrocuted, without just ending up taking damage, weakening, and losing. Now, post-Rose Meruem, the fight actually gets a lot more interesting, because now he has Rage Cannon, and that one ranged option allows Meruem to play Keep Away and look for an opening to use it. The main issue that Meruem had in base was that he had no way to punish Gilthunder for getting in close. But now, with a blast of pure energy, Gilthunder is going to have to add an extra layer onto his approaches, and that extra time may just be enough for Meruem to learn better. Plus, Meruem can fly now, meaning he has better control of the battlefield overall, making it harder for Gilthunder to move optimally, and Gilthunder will always be forced to chase him down. However, that is the optimal way for Meruem to play this one, because even with the ranged option and the ability to control his movement in the air and lead the pace of the fight, that is not truly Meruem's style. It is a way Meruem should be forced to play it, because honestly, if he doesn't, problems kick in for him. Meruem playing Keep Away allows Gilthunder to call for Lightning Beasts, constantly dropping massive volts of electricity, constantly giving Meruem things to worry about in the fight. And that's the main issue here. Even in Equalized battle, Gilthunder has so many options while Meruem has so few. He literally can't do much against Gilthunder, who's always going to be calling down lightning. always going to have an attack on the field, always going to be covered in lightning armor, always going to be zipping around the battlefield in insane motion, covering all his blind spots with electricity, firing off, throwing lightning beasts out, and just honestly hunting down Meruem, because there's just so little that he could do in that scenario. Because what do you really want Meruem to do? He's going to be assaulted by multiple amounts of lightning from all different angles, lightning beasts coming down, iron hammers coming down, everything, plus Gilthunder, who's going to be moving around the battlefield, and all these attacks do just as much damage as Gilthunder would if Gilthunder not doing more. So each single attack, each single lunge, each single thing is going to be wearing away at Meruem. And as good as his adaptation is, it takes time. Realize that Meruem only found the hole in Netero's fight after a while. It was not no instantaneous process. He didn't instantly roll up and be like, Netero, I figured out every last thing about you in the matter of 2 seconds of just looking at you. Now, allow me to dominate you. No, it took thousands of strikes, many blows, a whole ton of attacks for Meruem to even land a hit on Netero after finally discovering his unconscious bias. And that's only because Meruem was so much stronger than even the Guanyin Bodhisattva. If he wasn't, if the Guanyin Bodhisattva, if the Guanyin Bodhisattva, my apologies, was relative to Meruem, was able to do just as much damage as Meruem could, oh, them thousands of hits, Meruem would be dead. The only thing that the Bodhisattva had over Meruem was speed, and even then he managed to work around that. But since Meruem and Gilthunder are equalized here, then that means every single hit that Meruem's going to receive, and he's going to be receiving a lot of hits because Gilthunder kind of just lightning spams. Like, it's in character for Gilthunder to do all I'm saying. That's the thing. It'd be one thing if, like, Gilthunder's Thunderbolt was not much of his technique style, like if he literally fought with normal combat most of the time, but nah, my boy is almost always cloaked in lightning. My boy is almost, he opens up with calling down electricity on someone. He creates thunderstorms as an entrance. The first time we even met him, he pulled up on the Sins in the White Forest for Dreams with a thunderstorm. My boy don't play with his electricity. He rolls up ready to rock and just eliminate things. So it's in character for Gilthunder to lightning spam. And what can Meruem do about that? Absolutely nothing. Not base Meruem, not post Rose Meruem. There's just nothing I can imagine that Meruem could pull off in this fight, even with Rage Cannon. Because the thing is, I do believe Rage Cannon will give Meruem some leeway, but he's gonna have to focus to fire that. Even if he fires it off at rapid succession, even if he can do that, the thing that we get into problems with is, okay, he's able to do that just fine for now, but what's to stop Gilthunder from being like, I lightning beast, I'ma charge at you and call an Iron Hammer of the Thumper. Why do I keep saying Thumper? Iron Hammer of the Thunder Emperor right down on top of Meruem's head. Like, it's just every single time that Meruem would go in for an approach, he would get hit. Like, that's the thing. Meruem is in a lose-lose situation here. Like, if he doesn't attack Gilthunder, and Gilthunder with his plenty of magic and surprisingly good stamina with how much lightning he throws out, is just going to be constantly assaulting Meruem. Meruem's going to be taking damage after damage after damage after damage. If Meruem hits Gilthunder, he's getting electrocuted. And if he gets too close to the wrong type of Gilthunder, like Gilthunder in the armor, then he's trapped there in the embrace of the Thunder God, and Gilthunder's just like, you know what? What if I just unload everything into you and just drops voltage on top of Meruem? And even if not that, if he binds Meruem in Thunder Chains, even if Meruem, let's say Meruem can struggle and break out immediately, then in that moment, in that instant, that Meruem is going to be forced to struggle because he's caught. Gilthunder's removing something. If not bisecting him, he is taking off an arm. It's as simple as that. We've seen Gilthunder take off arms before. My boy moves to execute when he needs to move and execute. Gilthunder is shockingly, like, he's pretty nasty for a beginning of series 7 Deadly Sins character. Like, he's not a mortal. He's not a demon. He's not a goddess. He's not a fairy or a giant. He's just a human with the ability to control lightning. And the way he stretches that makes it so that Meruem just has no options. There's nothing I could see Meruem doing, even in Post Rose, because say he even flies up. Let's say Meruem goes fully out of character, because Meruem's a rushdown kind of character, because that's what he is. He punches things really, really hard. As strong as he was, that was really his stick. If he didn't overpower everything in the entire series, then Meruem he'd still be pretty impressive because of his intelligence, but he wouldn't be the top dog of top dogs. He basically steamrolls everyone power-wise. That's why he was so impressive. But if you take that into other verses and he can't steamroll his opponent, whether because his opponent's stronger than him or his opponent is a relative to him, we're not sure how Meruem can deal with that at all, because we haven't seen it. Not once. We've not seen Meruem deal with an equal. He's either destroyed everything he's encountered, or he got destroyed and then was so powerful that he ended up dying. Like, there's nothing I can picture Meruem doing to take away a win in this scenario, just because he has so few options. Every time he lunges in and gets a hit, he's hit. And the thing is, a lot of the battles from 7 Deadly Sins, I always talk about, well, in some way, shape, or form, they can heal themselves, or something like that. They have regeneration. Neither of the characters here have regeneration. So every single hit that one lands on the other is gonna count, it's gonna last. And, not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure the guy who can constantly coat himself in lightning, which is gonna harm his opponent, and the guy who can form a massive thunderstorm to discourage flying in the first place, and the guy who's known for constantly throwing out massive waves and blasts of electricity, is going to be doing more lasting damage. And as great as Meruem's pain tolerance is, that doesn't mean he's going to be... Meruem with one arm is weaker than Meruem with 2 arms. Meruem with 1 leg is weaker than Meruem with 2 legs. Meruem with no tail is weaker than Meruem with a tail. It's stuff like that. So every single drastic hit that Meruem gets, and he's going to be getting a lot of them, because lightning everywhere and Gilthunder everywhere, even when relative, I feel like Gilthunder is just going to outdo Meruem pressure-wise. Pure pressure-wise, because I can't see anything Meruem could do. If y'all could think of something Meruem could do, I'll give it to you. If you think Gilthunder is going to stand there and get hit by a Rage Blast, then maybe he wins. Maybe Meruem wins, because, you know, a Rage Blast could maybe vaporize Gilthunder in Equalized battle. But I doubt Gilthunder, and Gilthunder doesn't hold still. That's the thing. A lot of, like, this kind of spam play style, like, not play style, this spam fighting style, usually when brought up, isn't in character for a character that has the ability to do it. But nah, this is what Gilthunder does. So it's his immediate type of attack. So Meruem just has nothing. And Meruem's entire type of attack isn't what I offered, him flying away, trying to pressure Gilthunder with Rage Cannon just to learn how Gilthunder fights and stuff like that. Meruem's fighting style is, well, time to rush at you, and if it doesn't work, I'll do it again. Oh, and I'll do it again. Oh, and I'll do it again. Except every single time he rushes at Gilthunder, even if he gets the hit. That's the very pivotal thing. Even if Meruem hits Gilthunder, he's still taking damage. Maybe not as much damage as Gilthunder's taking, but he's taking damage. He may get locked down with paralysis. And everything Meruem does hurts him in this scenario. If he runs, he has things chasing him. If he attacks, he has things hurting him. While Gilthunder, if he attacks, he just has pressure, and there's nothing much Meruem can do about it. And if he runs, then Meruem's forced to chase through a lightning storm. Like, I don't know what Meruem could do here. If y'all can figure out something in the comment section below, I actually do want to hear it. Because this is a much more interesting fight. This is a fight, like, I could see if you want to, like, lowball Gilthunder, or, like, just equalize our stats, I feel like you could make a discussion about this. If you guys think Meruem's, like, adaptation is much faster than I've said it is, and if you think his intelligence is much greater than what I... No, because he's really, really smart, but I don't know what all that intelligence can do if he can't do anything. Because of lack of options. That's the thing. If you guys in the comment section below can tell me something that Meruem could do to win this fight, I want to hear it. I actually do want to hear it. Because I'll admit, I didn't really discuss this one with a lot of people, because I didn't necessarily think about it that way. But if there's something Meruem could do, please hit me in the comment section below. Tell me about that. I want to hear it, because I feel like this fight is super interesting. Now, to move on, yes, Gilthunder wins. I'd say equalized fight, yeah. I feel like the equalized fight is more of a toss-up. Like, unequalized, Gilthunder 10 out of 10. He just wins because he's faster and stronger and has the technique advantage. He has every single advantage in that fight, except for maybe intelligence. Equalized, base Meruem, I still think it's unfair, just because no options at all, no ranged options, while Gilthunder could just lightning everywhere. So I'd probably say that goes to Gilthunder probably like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, just because of his option and ability. And I'd say post Rose goes to like 7, 6 out of 10 for Gilthunder, because he still has all those options while Meruem can literally not do much. But moving on, so in the next 2 weeks, you got some options. I'm going to be asking y'all this at the end of videos now, because I do have a lot of versus battles piled up, battles I want to talk about and I want to get out to you guys. But obviously there are a lot of options and I care about what you guys want to see. So what we could do next week, we could keep, not next week, the week after next, we could keep on this Hunter x Hunter kick, and we could do All Might versus Netera. Or we could do a little something I've been interested in, just taking one character versus a group of characters. So like the options would be Meliodas, beginning of series, versus the Demon Slayer pillars from Demon Slayer, or Diane from Seven Deadly Sins versus the 9 Titan Shifters. Stuff like that. If you're interested in that, bada bing, bada boom, just tell me in the comment section down below which one you want to see. Would you like to see Netero versus All Might, or would you like to see one of the other options I mentioned? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps. You know that. Please, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. Leave a like. Always helps more people find the video. I like putting these videos out here because they're just interesting to talk about. Good discussion forum. And regardless, thank you guys so much for watching once again. And this is that guy with the pencil writing off.